periodicity in property. Periodicity in properties. Right, what is periodicity in properties, or what are the periodic properties? Let's see first what are the periodic properties and which periodic properties we have in our syllabus, and we'll study one by one. So what is the meaning of periodic properties? Can you tell anybody? Periodic properties. So periodic properties are the properties which are repeated in a regular intervals of atomic number. The properties which are repeated in a regular intervals of atomic number called periodic properties. For example, you take atomic size. But in atomic size we have studied, we are going to study atomic size. What happened in period? If you take atomic size, it is in period from left to right. What happened? Decreases. It is decreases, no? It means from first group, second group, third group till 18, till like here 17 group, 18 group. Then what happened? Atomic size gradually decreases. Then again from 18 to 9, 18 to 1 increases. Next 1 to 18 decreases. Next third period, fourth period. It means, so if you take atomic size gradually changes or not? Right? So therefore the properties which are repeated in a regular intervals of atomic numbers, like atomic number 1 to 2 decreases, 2 to 3 decreases, 4 to 5 decreases till 17 group, right? Again increases, again decreases. So again here to here increases. It means the properties which are repeated in a regular intervals of atomic number called periodic properties. So therefore periodic properties are, write down, the properties which are repeated in a regular intervals of atomic number. Regular intervals of atomic number, right, called periodic properties. Right. Next, usually, now which are the important periodic properties we study? One, atomic size. Atomic size is a periodic property we are going to study. It is also called atomic radius, right? Atomic radius. 2, ionization. Tell me, energy or enthalpy. Good. Ionization enthalpy or ionization energy also. It is also called IE. Or ionization potential also. There is a slight difference, but for our level we study, we consider both are equal, but actually there is a difference is there, right? Ionization enthalpy, ionization energy, ionization potential. Next, third one, electron gain enthalpy. Electron gain enthalpy over electron affinity, no? Electron affinity. It is also denoted by electron affinity EA. Next, fourth periodic property is electronegativity. Electronegativity. It is denoted by En. Next, electropositivity. Electropositivity. It is EP. Next, valency. Valency also depends, right? Depends on atomic number or not. So valency. Next, seventh one, you said something, shielding effect, it is also periodic property, shielding effect. Next, eighth one, effective nuclear charge, which is related to shielding effect. Effective nuclear charge, yes, nuclear charge, right, it is denoted by Z star. Okay, shielding effect, that is, yes. Next, ninth one, even acidic and basic nature, acidic and basic nature, also a periodic property which is repeated in irregular intervals of atomic number. Right, so these are the periodic properties we are going to study in detail. Tell me now here, periodic properties, the properties which are repeated in a regular intervals of atomic number, right? When atomic number increases, so these properties, gradually changes. It may increase, it may decreases. They gradually changes, right? So next is, let's study one by one. First, atomic size or atomic radius. Do you know? Now before going that, periodic, these are the periodic properties, right? Do you know these periodic properties depends on what? One, they depend, the most of these periodic property depends on one factor. Can you tell me? Atomic number. Can I say electronic configuration? Yes, isn't it? For example, all alkali metal having same properties. They are reducing agent, they are metals, right? Alkali metals. Why? Because they are having same electronic configuration. It means if you see all these properties, most of these properties depends on electronic configuration. Atomic number nothing but electronic configuration, right on point. Most of the periodic properties depends on what? Atomic number Z, electronic configuration. Next, atomic size or atomic radius. Come on, tell me, what is atomic radius? It's very simple. Definition is this: take atom is a spherical in shape, which is having nucleus. It is a positive body. So nucleus is a positive body. Where is it situated? Obviously center of atom, right? Now what is the atomic radius? So atomic radius nothing but it is the distance from the center of nucleus. It should be center of nucleus. Center of the nucleus to outermost orbit, right? This distance, right? The distance from the center of the nucleus to outermost orbit is called atomic radius or atomic size. Usually it is denoted by R, right? Then what are the units? Units are usually angstrom or picometer or nanometer. Usually these three can be used. We can use centimeter also, meter also, right? So it is a atomic size or atomic radius. So tell me, what is atomic size? The distance from the, it is the distance from the center of nucleus, to outermost orbit, nothing but shell or energy level, right? So the distance from the center of the nucleus to outermost orbit is called atomic size or atomic radius. Next, it is denoted by R. Okay, next, what is the units? Angstrom unit. or picometer, nanometer, etc. Right, but important is now atomic size is all right, it is the distance between center of the nucleus to outermost orbit, but question is it possible to calculate the atomic radius, atomic size directly? If you want to calculate, how do you calculate? Usually take the atom, okay, hold the atom in hand, take the scale, measure. It is impossible to hold the atom in hand, right? It is a microscopic particle. Then where is the question of taking scale and keeping, right? It is impossible. It means then the measuring atomic size, atomic radius, it is almost impossible. Then what is the other way? So therefore you cannot determine the atomic size directly. So but internuclear distance can be calculated. So what is the internuclear distance? See, let us take, there are two atoms. Two atoms always they have bond, no? They have bond, of course. Atom, no? It's very rare case atom exists like individually. Yeah, individually. But in most of the cases, atom always combine with other atom to get the stability to form the molecule. Right. So therefore, to measure the size, atomic size, we measure internuclear distance in a molecule, in substance. What is the internuclear distance? The distance between two adjacent nucleus of atom. It is a one atom. Okay, take atom A, take atom A, B or anything. So both are atoms of A. So here this nucleus, this distance can be calculated. We have instruments and we have methods. So usually internuclear distance can be calculated by easily spectroscopic methods. There are many spectroscopic methods. By using spectroscopic methods or even X-ray diffraction also. You might have heard very commonly X-ray diffraction. By using any one of these methods, we can calculate the internuclear distance. Now, once you calculate internuclear distance, suppose you just imagine this is X angstrom or X picometer. Then what is the atomic radius? It is nothing but half of or not? It is a X by 2. X by 2 angstrom or X by 2 picometer. That is. So in this way, you can calculate the atomic radius, atomic size. So therefore, write down. It is difficult to calculate the atomic size directly. It is difficult to calculate the atomic size directly, but internuclear distance can be calculated. But internuclear distance, this is called internuclear distance, can be calculated by spectroscopic methods or X-ray diffractions. By spectroscopic methods or X-ray diffractions. Comma. From the internuclear distance, it is possible to determine what? Atomic radius. Right, this is the indirect method to calculate the atomic radius or atomic size. Okay, now all right. So atomic radius can be calculated from internuclear distance. But no, atomic size or atomic radius depends on many factors. Particularly atomic size depends on one, nature of bonding. Yes or no? Why, tell me?
Because the
nature of bonding. See, we are calculating this is nothing but bond, no? We are calculating nothing but this bond length. Internuclear distance, it is nothing but it is a bond length. No, bond length depends on what? Nature of bond. Bond length is not same in ionic bond, covalent bond, coordinate covalent bond, metallic bond, right? Bond length is differ in different compounds, that is, it depends on nature of the bonding. So therefore, atomic size, atomic radius also depends on nature of bonding. Since atomic radius calculating indirectly by what? This is a bond length. So therefore, atomic size depends on one nature of bond, right? Next, it is also depends on, that is nothing but oxidation state, no? Oxidation state or oxidation number, right? Next, even it is depends on coordination number, and yeah, bond order also. Bond order nothing but number of bonds, no? Next, it is also depends on number of bonds. So therefore, atomic size depends on mainly on these factors. One, nature of bonding. Two, oxidation number, oxidation state, coordination number, and bond order also, and number of bonds. Okay. Now, based on nature of bonding, let us take this only. Based on nature of bonding, it means which kind of bonds are present. So based on nature of bonding, atomic size classified into, or atomic radius classified into three types. There are three types of atomic sizes are measured. So one, yes, based on, yes, not that, based on nature of bonding or nature of bond, atomic size classified into three types. One, metallic radius, it is also called crystal radius. Important, these types important. There was question appeared previously in JEE. Next, two, covalent radius. Three, van der Waals radius. Right. So therefore, we measured three types of atomic radius. It is based on what nature of bonding. So we know that all compounds do not have same bond, no? Some compounds have metallic bond, some compounds have covalent bond, some compounds have van der Waals bond. Now, by seeing this name itself, we can identify, you can understand. Metallic radius. Tell me, metallic radius can be measured where in metals, because they are having metallic bond. Nature of bonding is what? Metallic bond. That means the compound or the element or the molecule which are having what? Metallic bond. So their metallic radius can be measured. So therefore, understand, try to remember, metallic radius is measured in metals because they are having metallic bond. Next, covalent radius is measured in molecule having covalent bond, particularly non-metals. In between non-metal always covalent bond. Therefore, it is measured in non-metals which are having covalent bond. Finally, van der Waals radius. So this is important. This was a question appeared JEE. Van der Waals radius. So this van der Waals radius, measured in molecule having van der Waals bond. Right? It is measured in where? Molecule having van der Waals bond. And it is also measured in noble gases, because noble gas having van der Waals radius, van der Waals attractions. In between helium, there is a van der Waals radius, van der Waals bond. In between neon. So in between, right? There is no kind of bond here. It is just like force of attraction. This force of attraction, it is a weak force of attraction. This weak force of attraction is nothing but van der Waals force of attraction. They are present in nature, no? They are universal forces. They are present between any two things also, any two object also. Here also in between neon there is a van der Waals force of attraction. Therefore, van der Waals radius measured mainly in molecule having van der Waals force of attraction, that too particularly in noble gases. Right? So let us see one by one in detail. Understand now? Take down. So based on nature of bond, atomic radius classified into three types. One, metallic radius. Come on, tell me. Metallic radius. Here two things you need to remember. One, it is measured in. Tell me. Where it is measured? It is measured in metals only, where there is a metallic bond. So metallic radius does not measure in non-metal. It is measured in metal. Metals, that too in solid state. Important. Metals in solid state. Okay. Next, definition is very simple. You take you just imagine there are two metal atoms here. Okay, it is nucleus of the two atoms. Then this distance is called what? Internuclear distance. Okay, take this is internuclear distance. This internuclear distance you can measure by different methods. Now the half of the internuclear distance, this is half or not? The half of the internuclear distance is nothing but what? Metallic radius. Now how do you define metallic radius or crystal radius? The half of the internuclear distance between two metal atoms which are held together by metallic bond. Right? The half of the internuclear distance between two metal atoms which are held together by metallic bond is called metallic radius. Important. The half of the internuclear distance between two adjacent metal atoms, that should be adjacent only, two adjacent metal atoms held together by metallic bond. Right. So it is a definition of metallic radius or crystal radius. Now tell me example. So sodium, you can take copper also. Let us take copper. There are two copper atoms. This is a one copper atom. There are another copper atom. There is okay. Then the internuclear distance between two copper atom is measured. It is 256 picometer, not picometer, or 2.56 angstrom, 256 picometer, right? Then tell me, 256 picometer is what? Internuclear distance between two copper atoms, that is in solid state. Then 256 by 2, 128 picometer is what? Atomic size or atomic radius of copper. Okay, so therefore example, the internuclear distance between two copper atoms, two copper atom is 256 picometer. Even sodium also same. In place of copper you can take sodium also. It is also value is same, 256 picometer. Therefore atomic radius or crystal radius equal to how much? 256 by 2 is equals to 128 picometer. I hope you understand this. Similarly, covalent radius. Come on, tell me. Covalent radius. Now, similar to metallic radius, where the covalent radius is measured?
Non-metals.
Yes, non-metals having covalent bond, right? One, it is measured in non-metals having covalent bond. Okay. Now, similarly, similar to copper, let us take here two chlorine atoms. In between two chlorine atom, Cl2, no, molecule is Cl2, we know. In between two chlorine atoms, what is the bond? Covalent bond. Why? Non-metal, non-metal. In between two non-metal, there must be a covalent bond, right? Now, therefore, let us take internuclear distance between two chlorine atom. Okay, so which is approximately 198 picometer. Okay, so 198 picometer is the internuclear distance between two chlorine atom. Then tell me, what is the half of the internuclear distance is what? So it is 198 by 2 is equals to 99 picometer. So therefore, this 99 picometer is what? Atomic radius of chlorine, means this distance. So this is the 99 picometer, and this is also 99 picometer, which is atomic radius, nothing but covalent radius. Then how do you define covalent radius? Come on. The half of the internuclear, no? The half of the internuclear distance between two adjacent non-metal atoms which are held together by, yes, right? So the half of the internuclear distance between two adjacent non-metals held together by covalent bond called covalent radius. So example, the internuclear distance between two chlorine atom. Example, internuclear distance between two chlorine atoms equal to 298 picometer. Therefore, covalent radius 298 by 2, 99 picometer. Okay, so this is the covalent radius 198 by 2, 99 picometer. Do you know what is the bond in diamond? Covalent bond, no? Diamond sp3 radiation. So carbon bond, no? So one carbon attached to four adjacent carbon atoms like this, tetrahedral, it's a covalent bond. So therefore, tell me, what is the carbon bond length? Nothing but internuclear distance in diamond. sp3 1.54 angstrom, 154 picometer, no, or 1.54 angstrom. Yes or no? Yes or no? Tell me. It is 1.54. What is this? 1.54 is a internuclear distance, nothing but bond length. If the bond length in carbon is this much, then what is the covalent radius?
0.
So covalent radius of carbon in diamond is, it is a 1.54 divided by 2. Okay, 0.77. Okay, next. Do you know covalent radius also depends on number of bonds? Yes or no? Example?
sp3 has more
Yes.
radius, but
So covalent radius depends on, of course, hybridization. Next, number of bonds. Okay, let us take example: carbon carbon single bond, carbon carbon double bond, right? Carbon carbon triple bond. So what is the hybridization carbon carbon single bond? sp3. Here double bond sp2, it is sp. Then in carbon carbon single bond, what is the bond length?
1.54 angstrom.
So bond length is equals to 1.54, just note it, no, angstrom. It is 1.34 angstrom, here 1.20 angstrom. Okay, so here as the number of bonds increases, bond length is decreases. So this is, we know, bond length is inversely proportional to number of bonds. If the number of bonds are 3, bond length is 1.20, it means less. Number of bonds are only 1, bond length is more. Now we want radius, covalent radius. So what is the covalent radius, CR? Come on, tell me. It is 1.54 by 2. It is 1.34 by 2. It is 1.20 by 2. It means covalent radius also depends on hybridization, number of bonds. Okay. Next is van der Waals radius. Van der Waals radius. Like similar to covalent radius measured in non-metals having covalent bond. Then tell me, van der Waals radius measured in
Gases.
which gases?
All the gases.
Okay, listen. It is measured in molecular substance, right? Where there is molecule. It is measured in molecular substance, and it is also measured in noble gases, that too only in solid state. This is the previous question. Van der Waals radius measured in solid state, gaseous state, liquid state. Measured only in solid state. Generally what we think is noble gases, they are gaseous state. We should measure it in gases. No. That gas can be converted into liquid, liquid can be converted into solid. That is possible. Okay, by changing the temperature, pressure, right? So therefore, this van der Waals radius, measured in molecular substances and noble gases only in solid state. Important. It is measured in molecular substances, means where there is a molecule exists, and noble gases only in solid state, not gaseous state, not liquid state. Right. Now let us take example here. I'll take 2 chlorine molecule. It is 1 chlorine molecule. Okay, size will be same. Atomic size will be same. It is 1 chlorine molecule. Right. Take another chlorine molecule is this. Listen carefully, students. Stop writing. Listen first. If you take 1 chlorine molecule, in between chlorine atom, what is the bond? Covalent bond. Covalent bond. Now here I am taking 2 chlorine molecule, 1 chlorine molecule, another chlorine molecule. This is a 1 molecule, it is another molecule. In between 2 molecule, what is the force of attraction? Weak van der Waals force of attraction, which is exists in between any 2 things, any 2 molecule, any 2 things, any 2 objects. Therefore, in between 2 molecule, obviously there is a van der Waals force of attraction will be there. Less or more, it will be there, right? Now therefore, in between 2 molecule, we can measure van der Waals radius. Therefore, this is one chlorine molecule, it is another chlorine molecule, right? Previously we have written two atoms very close, but here not very close. Why? There is a weak van der Waals force of attraction. Van der Waals force of attraction is a weak. Therefore, these molecules maintain certain distance, right? So therefore, now I'll take this is molecule. It is one more molecule, right? In between these two molecules, we can measure the internuclear distance. This internuclear distance in chlorine molecule is 360 picometer. It is 360 picometer in chlorine molecule. This is a Cl2 molecule. It is Cl2 molecule. Now tell me, if the internuclear distance between two atoms of what? Different molecule, same molecule? No. It is a one molecule. It is another molecule. Right? I am not taking same molecule means here only. It is belongs to different molecule, no? Right? Different chlorine molecule. So therefore, the half of the internuclear distance between two adjacent atoms of different molecule. Right? The internuclear distance with half of the internuclear distance between two adjacent atoms of different molecule held together by, it should be van der Waals bond, van der Waals force of attraction, then it is called van der Waals radius. If it is a 360, it should be 180 picometer. So this is called van der Waals radius. So therefore, remember, van der Waals radius is always more. Why? There is a weak van der Waals force of attraction. So molecule maintains certain distance. Obviously, its van der Waals radius is more. Okay, right on. The half of the internuclear distance between two adjacent atoms of different molecule. Two adjacent atoms of different molecule held together by weak van der Waals force of attractions. Weak van der Waals force of attraction. So half of the internuclear distance between two adjacent atoms of different molecule held together by weak van der Waals force of attractions called van der Waals radius. So take example. What is the internuclear distance between two molecules? Internuclear distance between two chlorine atom means in different molecule, two Cl atoms of different Cl2 molecule. How much? 360 picometer. Therefore, so its van der Waals radius is how much? 360 by 2, 180 picometer. Right, next is order of radius. Now we have completed metallic radius, covalent radius and van der Waals radius. Come on, tell me, among these three radius, which radius is more? Van der Waals radius, right? So this radius is more because there is a weak van der Waals force of attraction. Due to weak van der Waals force of attraction, molecules maintain distance, therefore it comes, bond length comes more, and half of the bond length is nothing but radius. Therefore, van der Waals radius is more. Van der Waal radius is more. Next, can you tell me which radius is very small? Metallic radius or covalent radius? Covalent radius. Because covalent bond is a strong bond, no? Example, you have taken diamond. Diamond is the hardest substance, no? Because of which bond? Covalent. Diamond. Covalent bond. There is a 4 covalent bonds tetrahedrally arranged. So therefore, covalent bond is a strong bond. Due to strong covalent bond, covalent radius become very short. So then, which is the middle comes? Metallic bond. Therefore, Van der Waal radius is more than metallic radius. Metallic radius is greater than covalent radius. Okay. Now, therefore, if you see overall, Van der Waal radius is maximum. So covalent radius is minimum. Now there is a relation between Van der Waal and covalent radius. It is observed that Van der Waal radius is approximately 40% more than the covalent radius. Van der Waal radius how much? Approximately 40%. It means, for example, you take chlorine. For chlorine we can measure Van der Waal radius. For chlorine we can measure covalent radius. Both can measure, no? Because Van der Waal radius can be measured for any molecule. Okay, so when you see relation between Van der Waal radius and covalent radius, which will come more? Van der Waal radius. How much? Approximately 40%. So therefore, Van der Waal radius is 40% more than the covalent radius. Important. Van der Waal radius is 40% greater than covalent radius. Okay, next is variation of atomic size in period and groups. Variation of atomic size in period and group. It means how does atomic size or atomic radius changes in period and groups. Okay, so therefore, see, if you understand atomic size, you know, the remaining periodic properties are just depends on atomic size. All the periodic properties depends only on atomic size. That's what you need to understand very clearly, all the reasons. Let's see, first is period. Do you know what happens